Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, from Eric Lima Shenanigans of 1977, it's Thursday, and you know what that means. It's time for the TNA Event Center report. And now here's the man to give you all the total non-stop action and impactful report, Mr. Eric M. Lima.
Thank you very much, Mr. Announcer, sir. Well, hello there, everyone. Welcome to yet another episode of Eric Lima Shenanigans, 1977, episode 2415 of the show. How's it going? Been a long day, been quite the long week, folks, and I know there's one more day of work for me, and then I get the weekend off. And I'll tell you, it has been a very insane type of week. It has been one of the most surreal weeks I've ever gone through, with all these celebrity deaths that have been happening, and now one. Of course, two of the biggest ones in the music industry, Ozzy Osbourne, and now in the wrestling industry, Hulk Hogan, which, it was, it was so surreal that, listen, it doesn't matter what do you think of Hulk Hogan. It doesn't matter what anybody thinks of Hulk Hogan. To me, at this moment, as Terry Bollea, he has made a lot of mistakes in his life. He's a human being. He has said some things that shouldn't have been said. And listen, I'm not defending him under any circumstances. What he said was wrong, but he was human. We all say things that we don't mean, and we all say things very controversial. I know there's a lot of, like I say again, there was a lot of folks that didn't like Hulk Hogan, but one thing he did was change the business of professional wrestling in the 80s and then again in the 90s when he turned heel in WCW. Wrestling wouldn't be wrestling where it is today. I wouldn't be a wrestling fan. If it hadn't happened for Hulk Hogan, I wouldn't be a wrestling fan today. I wouldn't be able to interact with people who like wrestling, who became my friends. And I wouldn't be able to talk to some of the wrestlers I see on TV. Molina was one of them. We just talked to Demolition, Headbanger Amash, the late great Sabu, who passed away a few months ago. Oh, man. Ricky Morton, his son Kerry. I got, even the crazier part about it is, Rick Derringer, the man who created his Real American theme song, died a few months ago as well. Which is more surreal than anything right now. It's been a crazy year for a lot of celebrity deaths, and we're halfway through this year already, and I gotta tell you, I haven't heard we haven't heard a response from The Rock yet, or even from Brian Knobbs and the Nasty Boys. I know Brian Knobbs and Hoaxster were very close. Rock was in the ring with him at WrestleMania 18, so I haven't heard much from him at all yet, So, but again, I still can't shake off Hogan's death. I'm sorry, guys. When you're a longtime wrestling fan like myself, you would understand. And I know there are a lot of crass words said about Hulk Hogan already, and I'm not going to even give anybody attention on those crass words. To me, either they're not real wrestling fans or not. Or the fact that they've forgotten what Hulk Hogan has done for the wrestling business. Forget what he did for the past 10, 12 years as far as his outside, his real life goes. Terry Bollea, the man, makes mistakes. We all do. Sometimes when people talk bad about Hogan, they act like they're better than him. Unfortunately, no one's better than anybody else. I'm not better than anybody else. I'm going to make mistakes. I'm not exactly a saint. I may be a Christian, but I'm not a saint. I may be Christian, but I'm not perfect. Get the idea? Believe me, I'm not the most perfect man on the face of the earth. If I was perfect, every woman would be breaking down the door out of my house right now. Just to say that. All right, I'm not bragging about it. I'm saying if I was perfect. Now, obviously, I'm not. Look at me. Look at me. I'm not perfect. Ozzy Osbourne wasn't perfect. Malcolm Jamal Warner wasn't perfect. Neither was Hulk Hogan. No one was perfect. We're all humans. We make mistakes. But they will. But those three gentlemen will remember for the work they put into the entertainment industry. For Malcolm Jamal Warner, it was TV. For Ozzy Osbourne, it was the music. And for Hulk Hogan, it was the wrestling. Sports entertainment. Those three gentlemen are going to be missed. Definitely. Like I said, it had not been for Hulk Hogan, we wouldn't see the WWE what it is today. We wouldn't see WCW or ECW. NWA was there before any other wrestling organizations rised up, but they got the ball rolling. NWA wouldn't be well recognized as it is today. You got TNA. It wouldn't be widely recognized as it is today, and AEW as well. We wouldn't be able to see the beloved stars of those great companies rise up to be great stars themselves. One man got the ball rolling. It's Hulk Hogan. So I'm very, very thankful what Hulk Hogan has done for the wrestling business and the wrestling industry. Made me a fan. But as Terry Bollea, he was a man that made many mistakes. Now, you don't have to worry about making those mistakes anymore here on Earth. You don't have to worry about what people say about him anymore. He's in a place that there are no worries, no pain, no suffering. He's in a better place. That's all. I figured I was going to add. I figured I'd add a little bit more to my nostalgic shenanigans video, so we can check that out if you can. I still can't shake it. It's so weird when you're a longtime wrestling fan and this legend who basically became, and basically just made the biggest impact in an industry that many people call fake, that many people don't like it, and the business grew as it is today. If it hadn't been for the Hulkster, I wouldn't be doing something like this. Talking about wrestling. Talking about TNA tonight. He was part of it for a while. We wouldn't have a rant and rave or a Bofus and the Sofas. It could start out with wrestling and movies, and it could evolve into something bigger. And that's what we have been. We have evolved. Our podcasts have evolved. The network community has evolved. And believe me, I'm very thankful. Very, very thankful. So let's talk about what happened in TNA, shall we? Fallout from Slammiversary Part 2, due to the fact that the two world champions, the main champions, the Knockouts World Champ and the TNA World Champ, those titles are both held by NXT talent. And it seems like, if I were the WWE and TNA, I would get together for War Games at Survivor Series. That's what should happen. You want to bring TNA to the forefront? That's how you do it. That's my suggestion. Forget Bloodline versus this, that. You want War Games, WWE versus TNA. That's all I'm going to say. NXT versus TNA. Let's showcase them at War Games Survivor Series. Let's make that happen. Speaking of which, the Director of Authority said Tino Morella kicked off TNA and dresses both those titles. Monster Slamovich interrupts Santino. Monster Slamovich said, "Hey, I carried that Knockouts division. I want my rematch for the title. Santino Marella says, you got it. Next week, you get your rematch. As she walks away, here comes the System. And the System, and here's the shock. The System have been known to be notoriously booed throughout TNA, but then decided respect from Alicia Edwards and the rest of the System. They were fist bumping her as she was going on her way out. They were coming on their way in. Hey, we're TNA. We're standing right here. We're going to defend TNA, and we'll make sure that the titles come back to TNA. Moose says, Moose addressed the Leon Slater matchup. He says, he's the man that he is. He'll take the X Division next level. I'm moving on up. I'm going back to get back that TNA World title. He says he's going to go try and get it. I'm hoping he does. But then Trick Williams and First Class interrupts the System. They're talking a little smack. And then Order 4 interrupts both factions. Order 4 says, hey, we'll find out who the best faction is. The Order 4 and the System started brawling. And Santino Marella is yelling for security to come out. Security came out and separated them. And then Marella talks to the System and say, okay, I got to figure out a way to solve this because we got so much going on. How about this? He says, he made a suggestion. He's reuniting the Edge Major brothers. Says Edge's Major brothers. I was like, wow, that's funny. Matt Cardona and Matt Cardona can say, hey, I saw what happened out there. I got your backs like you got mine. And Santino Marella said, you know something? You gave me an idea. How about this? You two, you and Brian Myers reunite. You take on the Great Hands tonight. And then next week, the rest of the System will take on Trick Williams in First Class. Moose and AJ Francis one-on-one is a matchup I would love to see. But a 6-man tag next week, no problem. And then, as Matt Raywall and Tom Hennepin were talking about what happened at Slammiversary, the personal concierge, George Iceman, is running his mouth, tells everybody to keep their mouth shut. He disses the people of Kingston, Rhode Island. But here comes the Elegance brand, Ash, Heather, and M. And then the inspiration comes out and says, who will be their partner? Well, TNA's got their newest signee, Mara Sade, formerly known as Jakara Jackson in NXT. She has now crossed the line and joined up with the Inspiration. And then, heck of a matchup it was, but the Inspiration and Sade ended up winning the matchup. So Sade's official TNA debut, congratulations to her. Yes, we have a winner in that matchup. And filling in for Gia Miller, who is out because of a head injury caused by Tessa Blanchard, who's been suspended indefinitely. Gabby LaSpiza, who, I look at Gabby LaSpiza, and she looks like Jennifer Esposito. If you don't know who Jennifer Esposito is, one of the most gorgeous actresses ever. She was a regular in Spin City, and she played one of Dracula's brides in Dracula 2000 AD, I do believe, the name of that movie. And she also was in Tony Storm's guilty pleasure movie, The Master of Disguise. Don't believe me? Check out her interview with Sean Ross Sapp. Trust me. She says it, and it's funny. I love the Timeless One. I'm not turtling enough for a turtle club. Turtle. That's Jennifer Esposito for you. So, that's who Gabby LaSpiza looks like. I don't know if they're actually looking like cousins. I don't know. Weird stuff happens. Well, she's trying to interview Mike Santana, who just got up and just basically walked away, and then interviewed Indy Hartwell after that victory over Tessa Blanchard. But then Danny Luna interrupts her and says, hey, you know what? I got you back and everything else. And then Victoria Cropper says, I'm your mentor, and, she's talking smack to both ladies. Really, Victoria Cropper is a little bit crazy. Ask Tom Hennepin. He had to deal with her during their time in the WWE. Victoria Cropper is a little bit loopy crazy. That's for sure. Eric Young and Northern Armory were addressing the NXT situation. It's time for a cleansing. What does that mean? With those three, including Eric Young, leading the way, who knows? And I shudder, and like Tom Hennepin said, I shudder to think Then Leon Slater addresses the Kingston crowd about having the best night of his life. It's the biggest night for TNA, and he was really hyped. He says he couldn't talk. He could, he's talked about AJ Styles. He talked about, Moose, and and how much respect he has for Moose. And then he asked the Hardys to come out, and the Hardys they got their tag team titles back, and they were talking about defending TNA and all that. And also they had that moment with Bully Ray challenging the Hardys to one more match at Bound for Glory in October. And according to Devon, he had an interview that Devon lost 85 pounds doing the DDP yoga, which is really huge. He's trying to get himself back into shape for one more match, and Devon says he's going to. So he's got plenty of time, about three months to get himself back in shape. No problem there, not at all. So and then as the Hardys respond to Slater, talking about being tag team champions and enjoying that moment, Steve Maclin, TNA International Champion, but Steve Maclin said, "Listen, 2 of our titles are in NXT camp. We're the true TNA champions. We got to make sure these titles stay with us." And they all raised their titles, and it was a really cool scene. And for me, in the back of my mind, I'm thinking Dark State's going to try and take those titles, because I figured there's 4 of them in the ring. You would expect Dark State to show up, but they didn't, thank God. So, and then in a no DQ match, Jake Something going up against Mance Warner. Of course, Steph DeLander had to get involved to help her fiance out, and they suplex each other on thumbtacks. They use a sledgehammer and all that. Steel chairs, obviously, but Jake Something has won the match. So Jake Something could go after a title if he chooses to. Then JCJ, along with Fatal Influence with Fallon Henley and Jasmine Nix, addressing the TNA Knockouts division. He said, "Get used to it. You're going to see me hold these belts for a long time." Then Matt Cardona went and Brian Myers went up against the Great Hands, and Mustafa Ali and Tasha Steelz gets involved in the matchup. Meanwhile, Alicia Edwards decided to fight off Tasha Steelz while the referee was distracted and with everybody else. This big member of the Order 4 Secret Service comes in the ring, choke slams Brian Myers, and the Great Hands end up with the victory as a result of that. Who that big guy is could be the Order 5 if this keeps up. Frankie Kazarian, though, came out during the commercial break. They had a commercial break on one of the sites I watched, and came out to join on commentary. But then Tom Hennepin and Matthew Raywall kind of looked at him in disgust, saying, "What are you doing out here?" And all that. And then Daniel Spencer, the head referee for TNA, said, the senior referee of TNA, Daniel Spencer said, "You know what? No. You're not staying here. You're getting ejected. You're out of here." He goes, "You're out of here." And Frankie Kazarian was ejected from ringside, basically. Then Joe Hendry and Mike Santana went one-on-one. Heck of a matchup. But Mike Santana did pick up the victory. Both men shook hands after the matchup. Respect. They showed each other a sign of respect, which is totally, totally cool. But that is it, ladies and gentlemen, for this episode. I do apologize for kicking it off, still talking about Hulk Hogan, and it's still a process that I need to. So I may be having trouble sleeping tonight, but I will get some sleep. We got one more day tomorrow of work, and then I get out. Yay me. Let's see. Also, tomorrow we got the Game of Strategy, Luck, Knowledge, and Daring Bullseye, and we got SmackDown. SmackDown's going to be hitting a little different tomorrow. I can guarantee you that. So we'll see what happens. I know a lot of people wanting everybody to cancel SmackDown so they can dedicate a whole thing to Hogan. The problem is, I don't think a lot of people would be going for that, because like I said, there's still people who basically are still angry at Hulk Hogan. Man's dead. I get it. I mean, I get how there's a lot of people who feels that they still hate Hulk Hogan. I can understand, but like I said, let's not think about his personal life outside of what he did. Let's think about what he did for the sport of professional wrestling and sports entertainment. Because the man transcended that in the 80s and in the 90s. That's how you do it. You know? That's how it is. So that is it for episode 2015. Like I said, tomorrow we've got some Bullseye. And I want to thank Jordan and Brandon for giving me the night off from Rant and Rave so I can be able to be free to watch some TNA and some Pressure Luck as well. Thank you guys for that. If you saw it in the interview with Mosh, it was an honor to interview him. But like I said, we're probably going back to the regular format on the final week, the final Rant and Rave of July 2025. So, and tomorrow will be the final Fearless Friday of July 2025 as well. So, that's all there is to it. That's all I got. So, thank you for tuning in, folks. I'll see you in the next episode. Until that next episode comes rolling around, Mr. Announcer, take us home.
That is all for today's episode of the show. This is Mr. Announcer speaking for Eric Lima Shenanigans of 1977. A Big Beefy E and do it for Bob Saget production and in association with a Raving Bull for 3000 Telepictures and Distribution. Thank you for watching another episode of Eric Lima Shenanigans of 1977. See you later on the next episode of the show. Goodbye for now.